So we've been playing a very interesting game. I've never played Ace Combat before, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the first time I've ever been able to touch it. Raph, have you played it before?
I was going to make a joke about this the first time I've been able to touch it.
Lol.
But
we can't make those jokes these days.
That's right, that's not allowed.
Okay, because we'll end up on the Gillette ad.
Never mind, I'll find someone like you.
This is actually the first Ace Combat game I've played in 17 years. It's the last one I played was Shattered Skies on PS4, which was a long fucking time ago. And I had no intention of reviewing it until all these people started spamming me on Twitter, and they're like, dude, please review it. I'm like, alright, I'm not doing anything else. I'll check it out. There's a lot to say on it. Most of it's good.
Most of it is good.
Not so great.
Yes.
But overall, positive. So let's talk about Ace Combat 7.
Let's get into it. Okay, everybody, so we'll be doing this while we are 35,000 feet up, as you can see. This is your captain speaking. Please don't buy any Gillette razors, and yeah.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
Why do we keep talking about Gillette?
I don't know. How do we get on the Gillette? I think everyone's talking about Gillette. Should we do an episode on Gillette? Well,
are we the best a man can get?
Are we?
Is this the best a man can get?
Are we the best at the gaming
industry?
industry?
Is Ace Combat 7 the best a man can get?
True.
I think it's pretty good.
So look, I mean, I said this is my first time with Ace Combat 7. Well, Ace Combat in general. I kind of wasn't sure what to expect. Now, this isn't for everybody. Let's just start there. Yeah. This is not a game for everybody. On one hand, I like that Bandai Namco have made a very hardcore simulator.
It's not a hardcore simulator.
It feels pretty hardcore simulator.
It's not. It's super arcadey.
You think so?
Definitely.
Oh, I found it very difficult.
It's a hard game.
I found it very difficult.
Is this a realistic interpretation of what it would be like to fly a fighter jet? And it's not. Like, it's very simple controls. There are actually two control schemes.
Yeah.
There's your real control scheme where you have to press buttons, and then there's your basic bitch control scheme where you have no idea what you're doing, and you're basically like a chimpanzee, and you've got a blindfold on, and your hands are fucking tied together, and you need that's the novice control scheme that Sam used.
Okay, so the standard controls did feel like basic bitch. The expert controls were very difficult to kind of master.
They're not at all.
Then of course you do pick them up, but at the beginning especially you're like, whoa, like what's going on here? The easy mode and the normal mode, very different in terms of like what to expect.
Yeah. So I strongly recommend playing the expert controls, because otherwise you do not have a real feeling of control over your craft.
I agree with that.
And it's like you may as well not even bother.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the controls.
Totally, but I was just going to say, in terms of the actual experience, I like what Bandai Namco have done here. They're not catering to a huge audience, you know, they're very specific in what they wanted to deliver, in my opinion. It's like, you know, people that are, you know, aircraft enthusiasts or just kind of want to feel that kind of army simulator or whatever. It's very geared towards that.
I think it is aimed towards people who like aircraft, obviously.
Sure.
But I do think, like, I enjoyed it a lot, even though I'm not someone that is into aircraft at all. I do think it has enough casual appeal in it that it's not just for enthusiasts.
I think the only types of people that are really going to buy this will know exactly what they're getting.
I agree with you there. No, I agree with you.
I
think you're right. And I think I would challenge that, because having played this game now, I've finished it. It's 20 missions long. Each mission takes about an hour, because we'll come to the difficulty in a moment.
Sure.
It's a hard game. But, you know, having played it now, I was extremely impressed by most of its components. And I really hope that a few people who aren't fans of this genre typically, or who wouldn't typically try this, are willing to give it a go, because I really think it's a very worthwhile game.
Yeah, I hear you, but I think this particular type of game is the type of game where people might give it a go, and more often than not, it might disappoint a lot of people, because it is a very specific niche product. And I think that, you know, it's important that we hammer that point home.
Okay, let's talk about the structure of a mission in Ace Combat.
Sure.
Right? So, you obviously start with a mission briefing, which you actually need to listen to, funnily enough, because if you don't pay attention, you don't know what you're doing. Like, and one of the interesting things about this game is that the heads-up display actually doesn't give you a lot of information throughout the game, okay? You need to listen to radio calls, because if you don't, you will fail. Like, the HUD doesn't tell you what to do.
Snake, it's me.
Otacon.
So a lot of the time when you're playing through these missions, you're actually trying to figure out what the failure points are.
Yeah.
And then you fail and you die, and then you need to start again from the beginning. Because the checkpoints in this game are basically non-existent.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I just feel like they're not intelligently put. Like,
I wouldn't agree with that. I think they're extremely intelligently put. They're exactly where they need to be to push you to like make each mission very challenging.
No, because I think there's a difference between putting them at the right spot to feel challenging, and then putting them at certain spots that just frustrate the player and make them do things that were relatively boring to get to that difficult point again. And I think it dances between that balance.
This was one of the most frustrating games I've played in a long time.
100%, yeah.
But in a good way. Like, it's frustrating in the way that, like, taking down a boss in World of Warcraft or Fury or Dark Souls is frustrating because you go all this distance and you're learning through failing and you keep having to repeat yourself over and over again until you get it. So your average mission is only 20 minutes long, but it takes about an hour to beat the mission.
Yeah.
Because each mission is a sort of puzzle in and of itself with regards to which unit you should attack and when and how you should do it, how you should do your loadout, etc., etc. And if you're not really figuring all that shit out along the way, you're going to fail. And like, as some missions took me nearly 2 hours to do what was essentially a 20-25 minute mission.
Yeah.
Because I kept failing, and then I kept having to start from the beginning of the mission.
I feel like, back to the point you said that there's not a lot of points where it tells you exactly what to do. There was times where I would fail. I'm like, how did I fail that? I didn't die. Like, what the fuck's going on here?
This will happen to you
and that
so
was
much
really
in this
frustrating,
game.
So that's what I mean by,
But as I said, that is a good thing because every time that I went through that process, I actually learned what I needed to do, and I learned that the game was actually telling me those things. The game was telling me that, but I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
I didn't listen in the briefing. I wasn't listening to the radio calls, and if I listened to all of those things, then I would actually be successful.
Sure.
And every time I kick myself afterwards, I'm like, fuck, I really wish I had listened to that more
There's
closely.
one thing, though, that is extremely frustrating, and it's the fact that there's only one way that you will ever die in this game, okay? And it's always missiles. Missile. Now,
imagine that in your ear for 20 hours.
I really think that they are going... they're going to be actually changing this.
Missile. I'm not even fucking with you, alright?
I think they're going to patch this.
They're not going to patch this.
I mean,
they
have
combat.
But like, I feel like based every single mission, there is only one way that you have to deal with danger, pretty much, and it's always a missile. I never saw any aircrafts behind me and I had to enter this dogfight. It never happened that way.
It happens a lot.
For me, it never happened. It was always missile.
When you have that missile, it's because there's people behind you shooting at you.
I know that. What I'm saying is, I would have liked to feel some spray of bullets and shit, and I'm trying to get away from that. It was always the missile. That's the problem, I think.
I agree. Okay.
I think that I think that if they're really trying to put a game together that's trying to be realistic and all that, don't give the player then like this one scenario of danger every single mission.
But that is realistic, though. Fighter jets have lock-on missiles. That's how they
fight. But there's other ways that combat goes down, right? Like, can't be just missiles.
No, but that's
because we're Army veterans.
We know we're actually Air Force pilots ourselves. Well, that's not true.
Mile High Club.
We were too tall. We were too tall to be able to join. So we wanted to serve, but unfortunately we couldn't. They said no. So we had to watch Top Gun and then play volleyball.
Certain areas are too big, so.
The one on the left of your screen, you would term this to be what is termed a micro penis.
So I think the degree to which you love or hate Ace Combat will actually depend on this missiles thing. And I know it sounds really dumb, but 90% of the time you will have this missile sound in your ear. You will have this annoying, like, beep sound constantly, to the point where when I logged off, I could still hear that sound in my ear, okay? If you can put up with that, and you don't mind flying in circles to avoid missiles for 20 hours, then you'll enjoy the game, because the missions are so well designed and challenging that they're really worth experiencing and they're really worth solving. But as I said, that missile thing is going to be make or break.
I understand what you're saying, but again, the last point I'll make before we move on is if a mission is 90%, in terms of combat in the mission, is 90% dodging goddamn missiles, it gets old real quick, and I just hope that they maybe patch something to include some more intelligent AI. That's all I'm saying.
That's the heart and soul of Ace Combat. They haven't patched it in 26 years. They're not going to patch it now.
Maybe not. But one thing is for sure, it is actually a gorgeous game.
It is very pretty.
It looks fucking gorgeous, man. There's one thing that throughout the missions, there's many times, even if you've been playing it for hours, you'll go, "Whoa, this is beautiful."
It is,
and that usually wears off, especially when the terrain is relatively similar.
Sure.
But it's actually goddamn beautiful.
And the soundtrack is sick. Like it's so soaring and epic. And
it didn't stand out to me as much.
You need to play more of it. Trust me. The soundtrack is just stellar. And I know the Ace Combat series is actually quite famous for having great soundtracks. Having now played one of them properly, I can absolutely confirm that. Stellar soundtrack. I want to fucking listen to this soundtrack more. I loved it. It was really fantastic.
Totally.
There is a multiplayer mode, which we couldn't play because it wasn't really available in the review window. No one had rooms up, whatever else. But you basically PvP dogfighting, so we'll let other people talk about that later. There's also a VR mode.
VR was exceptional.
It's so good.
Exceptional, okay.
It's on PSVR for the first year. And then after that, it's going to be available on PC. Xbox doesn't have VR. Lol, it has HoloLens.
Well, look, I think that this is one of those experiences where it's kind of worth buying the game just for this in a way. Because, almost.
I would get it on sale.
Yeah, that's what
Just to experience the VR, because it's the best VR experience I've ever had.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. If you're really, interested in seeing what VR can do and you want to spend a bit of cash to find that out, this is one of those games that I would say invest in.
For sure.
Because you're 35,000 feet up or whatever, you look to the left, you're seeing, you can start spinning, the whole aircraft, you can look around inside the cockpit. It looks fantastic. When you are chasing other fighters and they kind of go upwards, you can look at them and go over you.
Yeah.
It's incredible and it does feel very, very real-like.
It's really, really
real-like, kind of, you know what I mean? Real-like.
Real-like, yeah.
It feels real-like.
So, that's Ace Combat. Overall, I would say that it's one of the most well-designed video games I've played in a long time. I can't say that I loved it, right? But I very much respected it.
Yeah.
Because each of its components are technically very accomplished.
Totally.
It looks beautiful, it sounds beautiful, it handles beautifully, its missions are so intelligently designed, they're each their own sort of unique puzzle. The combat is the core of the game, but it's also the part that I didn't love. And I think if there was a different combat model at the core of all of this, with some more diversity in terms of how that combat worked, I would absolutely love this game. I think it's fantastic. Right now, I enjoy it, I respect it, but I don't love it.
Totally. I just think that, for me, I can look at a game and go, yes, this is a well put together game, but it's not for me. This is one of those experiences. I think that... in some respects I enjoyed it, but most of it I didn't, because it's just not for me. But I respect what they did. They were putting a game together that it is very niche. It's for I still think it's for an enthusiast type of gamer, and hopefully it sells, but I don't think it'll sell massively.
I don't think so either.
All in all, very good product.
There you go.
Guys, that is it for today.
It's the first Lamon Gamon review
Is that
of
the first
year.
one? Yeah,
yes, I
that's
think
the first
next up
one.
we'll be reviewing maybe Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2, Metro Exodus.
Yes.
And then Anthem, where we'll give you a full loot box review.
God, yes,
That's
we'll do the review, then we'll do the Laymen microtransaction review.
Correct. That's gonna be the fun part.
See ya, fam. Love you. Appreciate you.
Happy place. Go to a happy place.
Is this the best a man can get?
Ah!